do you think that pockets of this that we have seen in Nigeria, in Pakistan, in Chad, in Somalia, for example, children are dying. There's a huge hunger crisis, drought.
Correct.
Children are dying on the backs of their moms. Very gory pictures to see. How do you think that these events that we're seeing around the world would impact the SDG goals by 2030? The actualization of the SDG goals, some of those goals, to poverty, hunger, you know, and all of that. In fact, if not even all of them, because they are somehow intertwined.
That's really interesting, your question. Again, I was recently in New York for a global meeting of all resident coordinators like myself. There's 130 of us around the globe. And it was interesting, the key message of the Secretary General and his deputy, Amina Mohammed, was the name of the game, if that's a correct or appropriate expression, now is to save the SDGs. You know, they were both very clear that the war in Ukraine, the COVID crisis, the major famine in East Africa, Pakistan, Nigeria now, and other places, so the impact of climate change has thrown us back in terms of achieving the SDGs. It's very clear in the case of Nigeria that Nigeria lags far behind in meeting the SDGs, far behind. And so this needs to be turned around, and the instruction and marching order I got from the Secretary General with my colleagues was your agenda is to help countries rescue the SDGs. It's about development. Yes, there's these other crises. And you know what was interesting and maybe of interest to you, he gave us 3 priorities to look at. Number 1, invest into education. Because he said at the end of the day you will not rescue development if children aren't properly educated. And there's a link with climate change. His second priority was climate change. We have to get serious about this. And the linkage between the two is, I think, our biggest hope for seriously mitigating against the impact of climate change is getting the young to understand what's going on and to be conscious and act accordingly. So education needs to, in schools, have a clear climate change element in the curriculum. That's the link between the two. But again, he said if we want to rescue the development agenda, invest into education as the top priority, invest into climate change as we've talked about, adaptation and mitigation. And then the third bit is governance and human rights and peace. You know? So I think as with my, not with my humanitarian coordinator hat on, but with my resident coordinator hat on, this is over the next 5 years what we will try to work with the Nigerian government on. It is to rescue the SDGs.